Hi, Andy Smith from Change Smith Coaching here again. And today I want to talk to you about answering that eternal question, where does the time go? Lots and lots of people frequently say, if only I had the time, or I really must make the time to do this, that or the other. Well, if you've seen some of my other videos or website, you'll know that my answer to these people is, I'm sorry, but there is no more time. We all have 168 hours a week allotted to us. Whether we're rich, poor, whoever we are, we have 168 hours a week. If you think of the most efficient, effective person that you know, you probably secretly hate them a little bit because of that efficiency. They're completely and utterly on top of their lives. If you picture that person, and then you think of Mr. or Mrs. Hapsy Flapsy, who are all over the place, and then you think of yourself, probably somewhere in between those two extremes. Each of you, Mr. and Mrs. Efficient, Mr. and Mrs. Hapsy Flapsy, you, everyone has 168 hours available to them in a week. The major problem that people have is that they have no idea where those 168 hours a week goes. And then in the absence of any factual understanding of where their time is spent and how their time is spent, our minds get astonishingly influenced by the narratives that we say to ourselves. I'm a slave to work. I spend all day, every day, looking after the kids. I never have a minute to myself. And in the absence of any fact, these narratives just affirm our belief that we have no time left to do what we want to do. Let me just try and demonstrate to you with some really simple maths that is a flawed narrative, and actually we have a great deal of time that's available to us. If we take the fact that there are 168 hours available in the week, and if we think that someone may sleep 8 hours a day, I know that's a lot and that's unlikely, but stick with me on this one. So 8 hours a day, and we add an extra hour a day for showering and for all those little moments of time we spend in the small room in the house. And then let's just say that we work 60 hours a week. And actually, although we may think differently, the average person works significantly less than 60 hours a week. And then allow 10 hours a week for commuting. Even then, as you can see, all of that adds up to 133 hours a week. That still leaves 35 hours a week of time that's available for us to choose. That's the equivalent of a full-time job. And I'd argue that actually those figures are probably overstated in a number of areas. Few people probably sleep 63 hours a week, nor work 60 hours a week, despite what they choose to believe. So there is time in the week for us to do what we want to do, but where is it? Well, if you really do want to achieve more with your lives, you want to achieve greater fulfillment and spend time doing what you want to do, if you really want to use your allotted 168 hours a week better, then you have to know where you're spending it. And you need to spend a little bit of time, invest a little bit of effort in recording how you actually spend your time over a week. It needs to be a week because in a week you'll have a reasonable idea of what a normal cycle of your week looks like. And you can do it in a number of different ways. There are apps available that you can download. You can just use a little notebook. You can just use a little notebook. I use a really simple spreadsheet that I've produced, and I record in 30-minute intervals what I'm spending my time on. This is what it looks like. It's really, really simple. If you go to my website, and the URL should be visible down here somewhere at this moment, you can download that for free. You can download it as an Excel workbook, or you can download it as a PDF as a gift from me for free. So you can get started right away on tracking how you spend your time. And immediately I can hear the resistance. I can hear the squeals coming back at me from you guys out there. Oh, that takes time. Oh, that's nerdy. Oh, that's dull. And look, I'm not going to pretend that it's the most glamorous or exciting thing you're going to do in the next fortnight, but just forget the process and think about the goal. What a gift. You'll be able to see where your time is slipping away. You'll be able to see the time where you have opportunities available to spend more time doing what you want to do. If any of you have ever tried losing weight through organisations like Weight Watchers, Slimming World, or working with a coach online or in person, I bet the first thing you were asked to do was to keep a food diary, to log what it was you were eating each day. This is because those organisations and those coaches have seen that people who log their calorie intake lose more weight than those who don't. You see, I think that we resist. We resist because we don't actually want to know the answers. We don't want to know that we grab 3 chocolate biscuits from the tin every time we have a cup of tea. And similarly, we don't want to know that 3 or 4 or 5 times a day we lose 20 or 30 minutes just drifting through the internet or social media. But if you really want to achieve more in your life, if you really want to spend more time on things that bring you happiness and fulfillment, then you need to know where your time is going. So go on, give it a go. Download that log and set yourself a challenge for the next week. Keep recording what you're doing at 30-minute intervals and be as specific as you can, so when you come to review it, you can identify specifically who it is at work that's wasting your time, or what websites or what social media is eating into that 168 hours a week. Then after a week, it gets much more interesting, I promise you. Look at your log and add up the major categories where your 168 hours were spent. Sleep, commuting, work, but try and split work into things like major projects, administration, networking, just being with people, deepening relationships, exercise, hobbies, family, household chores and administration. The list goes on, and it will be specific to you, which is why it's really, really difficult and actually not helpful to try and suggest categories. Just start, and as you move through it, it will become clearer to you what those big categories in your life are. And then when you've got those results, sit down for half an hour and ask yourself 3 questions. Number 1, what do I like about my schedule? Number 2, what would I like to spend more time doing? And number 3, what would I like to spend less time doing? Because the answer has to total 168, we've seen that. So in order to find more time, you're going to have to spend less time doing something. And you can only do that if you've got a clear picture of what it is that you're doing with those 168 hours a week at the moment. Everyone's answers are different, but having a clear sense of where the time goes and how you feel about that will help you take control of your life and focus more on the things that you want to do and that will bring you happiness and fulfillment. When you've done your time log, please email me with your insights and your ideas and any challenges that you're facing. You can email me at andy@changesmith.solutions. I look forward to getting those, and I'll be posting a lot more on this subject and all subjects relating to productivity over the coming weeks and months. But until I make the next one, cheerio.